last year, what did I just say about Joker winning 3 consecutive MVPs? People were saying, is he deserving of the MVP? Because after he wins his 3rd consecutive MVP, he's in the same conversation as Larry Bird, and he did something that even Michael Jordan never did.
Yeah.
But then Rudy Gobert wins Defensive Player of the Year for the 4th time. And he joined a very exclusive group of men that include only Dikembe Mutombo, and for the young viewers who don't know who he is, the Geico guy, and Ben Wallace of those very brief but very good Detroit Pistons teams who have won 4 players. And now these 2 players, Dikembe Mutombo and Ben Wallace, are seen as some of the best defensive players, if not the best defensive players of all time. Rudy Gobert is in that conversation. So now the conversation has to become, is Rudy Gobert one of the greatest defensive players of all time? And this conversation gets even better when you think about the reason why the second person in the Defensive Player of the Year did not win. Because he was a rookie. And that was Victor Wembanyama. Victor Wembanyama, after the All-Star break, was the best defensive player on a very bad team, I'll admit it, but he had the best defensive stats in the NBA after the All-Star break, but they refused to give it to him because, God forbid, we give Defensive Player of the Year to a rookie. And that, to me, is just disgraceful. This isn't a Rudy Gobert hatred post by any means, but this is is he deserving of winning 4 Defensive Player of the Years? And for that, I say, I think it should have been Wemby.
Yeah, I definitely think it should have been Wemby, because if you look at just the blocks for Wemby, I'm pretty sure he already tied Rudy Gobert for games with 3 or more blocks in his rookie season. Like, he's already eating Rudy Gobert alive statistically, like NBA history wise. And then we also talk about, okay, he's young, blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. But if we're going to factor in the MVP, like, we're not going to give it to James Harden because he chokes in the playoffs. We're not going to give it to Russell Westbrook anymore because he doesn't do it in the playoffs. We're bored of giving it to LeBron James. We're bored of giving it to Michael Jordan. So we're going to give it to someone like Steve Nash, who averaged 19 points. Like, okay. But then with Rudy Gobert, it's like, okay, can we look at just how useless he is in the playoffs defensively? I mean, whenever he goes up, and this should be really the judgment for Defensive Player of the Year, are you useless against the best players in the league? And if the answer is yes, you shouldn't be the Defensive Player of the Year, because Jokic cooks him alive. I mean, the famous game where Jokic is going up against Rudy Gobert, they go to send a double team, and then Rudy Gobert says, "No, don't send help." And Jokic just turns to him and he's like, "Brother, I have 37.
Yeah.
Brother, I have 37. And Rudy Gobert, it's like, okay, it's fine. He gets a lot of blocks, but like, does he impact the game on the perimeter? No, not really. Is his blocks as impressive as Derek White leading the league in blocks for guards? No, not really. Is it as impressive as Victor Wembanyama being the best player defensively in the league statistically? Like, no, it's not. And then you have to also look at it, what you said. Is he someone like Dikembe Mutombo? No, Dikembe Mutombo was not useless in the playoffs, and neither was Ben Wallace.
No. And also, some of the statistics with Wembanyama for his rookie season, he was one of only 4 players in NBA history to average 3.5 or more blocks in a season in his rookie season. And this includes players like Manute Bol, very briefly Sam Bowie, who is infamously before Jordan. But he had one of the best defensive seasons, not just by a rookie, but of all time. So I think Wemby deserved it. I think it's ridiculous. And again, it goes back to, is Rudy Gobert one of the best defensive players of all time? You want to talk about the 2010s? Maybe he's in the conversation, but I don't think he's in the same class as these 2 gentlemen.